And time for An Audience with the Pope, featuring esteemed, distinguished, and renowned trial attorney Anthony Pope.
Oh, what an introduction.
tell you, that is
Come on.
something.
Come on. God bless you. God bless you.
He doesn't even have a ring for us to kiss.
We
All
got to
rise.
do? Next week, I'm going to get you all rise. No, we get a hat. Let's get a Pope hat for Anthony, man, here. Anthony, welcome back to the show, brother.
Nice to be here, Joe.
Oh, it's
Hello,
been,
Frank,
it's-
Al.
Hello.
Good to see you guys.
It's been crazy. It's been nuts, and I wish we could talk about on the air. Maybe we might. We just might.
We'll talk whatever you want to talk about.
No,
I want it to be your final show. Feel free.
It will be, and I just want to let you know this gentleman next to me is certified. I love this fact, Anthony, if I may. Certified as both a criminal and civil trial attorney by the Supreme Court of New Jersey. There are only 24 lawyers with dual certifications in New Jersey. There are 40,000 plus lawyers in New Jersey. This is huge. Do you have to go through some kind of? You got to take a test for that.
It's a
Anthony,
board
right?
certification. You have to be a lawyer a certain amount of time, practice a certain amount of time. If I had my certification for years, especially with criminal, I started off with my criminal certification,
yeah.
and then over the last 15 years, I've been doing personal injury with the law firm as well. So I decided to get the certification in civil, and you have to have a certain amount of cases and trials, and then you have to sit for a full day exam for both certifications, and then you always have to have a certain amount of credits every 7 years for both certifications to maintain the board certificate, and as well as your license. So it's a little bit of a task, but it's worth it.
So on a personal injury, because I talk now, Pop used to work. My father always told you about. And you always remind me of my father, just in your whole demeanor and everything. And I mean that in the most complimentary of ways.
I know you do. Thank you.
He was so smart, my dad. And but Pop would always defend the working class, particularly from Patterson, the Polish Americans that came in and who couldn't speak English. They would get hurt on the job.
Right.
I've told the story before on the radio, and then he would go defend them.
Yeah,
And
the
of
workers'
course-
comp cases.
Yeah,
sure.
and I would watch them, and then I would watch the insurance company goes, "It's only an arm. What's an arm?" And I'd be in the back. I was like in sixth grade. I'm in the back. The guy lost his arm. Why are they arguing? But it was amicable then. It was not. They would all go out to the print room in Hackensack afterwards and have drinks. The insurance company and the lawyers, it would work it out.
Right.
But is it pretty much the same today that the insurance company doesn't want to pay? You got to fight for your client.
Well, Joe, I don't do workers' comp. Workers' comp
No, but,
is a niche area of personal injury, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But in personal injury cases, there's no question. Look, I tell my staff all the time, all the lawyers, insurance companies do not want to settle. They want to hold on to their money as long as they can. They love taking the money in when
premiums
the
for-
premium's in,
oh.
but they hate to pay back. So you have to know the type of person and the entity that you're dealing with. As far as they're concerned, everybody's even feigning the injury or they're exaggerating it. But our firm is there for people who have personal injury matters. Whether it be car accidents, whether it be slip and falls, whether it be malpractice, things of those nature where somebody has caused an injury, where you have lost work, where you have permanent pain and suffering, or even temporary pain and suffering, where you have medical bills that are outstanding. People have to understand that you need to go to a good personal injury firm. And we've been doing this for quite some time now, and we take a lot of pride in it because people come in and they're legitimately hurt
and
been
confused.
injured by someone. They're confused. Who pays their bills? Where do they go? What do they do about future medical care? How do they get their salaries reimbursed? Things of this nature. So that's what personal injury is about. And the firm has been there for a while now. So I welcome anyone to come in to the Anthony Pope Law Firm for a consultation. Consultations on personal injury are free. And the difference between criminal and other types of law, it's on a contingency. So you get nothing unless you settle the case or win the case at trial.
Yeah.
That's where you take your percentage.
Yeah, my pop
so when
worked like
people
that.
come
Yeah,
in,
yeah.
So when people come in, they don't have to pay any money up front. Personal injury cases are on a contingency, and the fees are set by the Supreme Court of New Jersey. So it's not something where you barter with or you negotiate with. When you sign a retainer agreement, it's very clear. We get 33% up to a certain amount of money. Then beyond that, when it grows larger, it's 25%, then 20%. And then any verdicts or settlements over $1 million, the actual court that you're before will decide what the lawyers get. So people are protected in that way as well. But get in as quickly as possible, because especially when you have an accident, you want to secure the scene as best as possible. You want to get pictures of the car, pictures of the area where you fell. You want to get medical reports right away. So the sooner you do it, the better it is, so you don't lose any time and people don't disappear. You may want to get witness statements. So it's important that people move on them as quickly as possible. And like I said, consultations cost nothing. And sometimes people feel like, well, I don't want to take something I'm not entitled to. Well, we'll decide. If the case has no merit, we're not going to take it.
Yeah.
If the case has merit, then we'll pursue it.
Yeah. Does it bother you when you see those guys on TV looking? They're looking at. Do you have a cough that's caused by asbestos 1,000 years ago?
Yeah,
and we'll find they're like fishing.
Well,
for
that's
things.
mass tort. That's mass tort litigation, and that's different than what we do.
Yeah.
We service individual people, that come to our firm. That's mass tort. I'm nothing against it, I think, but that's a large entity that just takes, hundreds and thousands of cases.
I've seen you work.
So.
I see how you work. I see how great your office is. And I love that you keep it in Newark, man, where you were a cop, and you came up through the ranks, man, a young cop at 19 years old, where your family comes from, and you stay there, right there in your beautiful offices in Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah, Newark is great. I've seen the evolution. And
yes, you stayed through it all.
The renaissance that's taking place down there. It's amazing.
And right
really
next to you, with that nice hotel next, they just put that brand new hotel.
Yeah, the Trip Hotel.
Yeah,
the
beautiful,
Burgers
right?
own that as well as my building.
I have to tell you
at
this.
60 Park Place. By the way, it's 60 Park Place in Newark, and it's 973-344-4406, the Anthony Pope Law Firm. And we also have a satellite office in New York as well.
Yeah, and where's the website we can go, Anthony?
The Anthony Pope Law Firm.
Okay.
That's the best website to go on. You'll get all the information and the numbers and the emails, and you can just call for a consultation.
So if I have to tell you that, I've told you this before watching and listening to it was so funny because my father, I think he was defending somebody, and then the guy was an old Italian guy. And forgive me, this is just the way it was. And then they had, he says I'm on total, with total disability.
Right.
You're on total disability. So now the insurance company's they got video of the guy from the back painting with his arm like this. And he goes for the corporate, that's a no me. He said, I tell you
That's a no me.
That's a no me. And then they got him lifting some from the back, the shot from the back. He's lifting stuff. He goes, that's a no me. And then he finally turns around and he's smacked there full on camera right in the middle. He goes, that's a me. My father goes, oh, man, I can't do nothing with you, man. So we appreciate it. And I've seen this man right here. But you know what? It's more than... We're proud to have you on the station. We're proud to have you come in with Mary and do a sponsorship here. But I've seen you in the courtroom, man. You are brilliant in a courtroom.
Well, I appreciate that, Joe. That's where I do my best work, on my feet. I enjoy trying cases.
You
love
are
being
in your
courtroom.
zone,
and that's why I love doing criminal defense and personal injury, because I get to punch holes in the government's case when I'm on the defense side, criminal, and when I'm on the plaintiff side for personal
you're
injury.
at a federal court.
Well, but I got to prove my case. That's the difference. In personal injury, you prove your case.
Yeah.
So the balance of having to do both is good. It keeps you sharp. Because like I said, when you're in personal injury, you got to start first. You got to put the witnesses up first and then prove your case. You have the defense attorneys that are trying to punch holes in it. So I enjoy that. Then when I'm on the criminal defense side, I get to see the government go first, and I punch holes in their cases. So the balance is nice, and that's one of the reasons I went into it. I enjoyed it, and people would always come, even when I was just doing criminal many years ago, and they had personal injury cases. Could you handle my accident case? Can you handle the malpractice case? Can you handle the slip and fall?
Yeah.
And instead of always referring it out, I said, you know what, let me get more into it. And I've started to enjoy it, and then the rest is history. So that's what we do.
What do you say? I'm so leery now when we see what happened with Roger Stone. And Roger Stone's a political lightning rod. I understand that. Right. But, they do a pre-dawn raid for a guy, all on hearsay, by the way. Now, that was remember the Mueller probe, Anthony? Remember the Mueller probe? And we just talked to Michael Caputo, and this poor guy spent hundreds of $1,000s in legal fees. Roger is facing 20 years in prison for, these witch hunts.
Well, Joe, the federal government, they've won 2 world wars and they print their own money. So they have an enormous amount of power. And unfortunately, when you hitch your wagon to somebody that is so disliked as the President of the United States, that so many people have an agenda other than doing the right thing and being fair and honest, you can get caught up in this. That doesn't mean he's not guilty. I don't know. I didn't sit in on the trial, just like Paul Manafort. I think they probably were both prosecuted simply because they were associated with Donald Trump. But whether or not they actually did what the jury convicted him of, that's for another matter. But listen, I heard one of your previous guests talk about how difficult it is sometimes to get a jury in certain areas, and there's no question about that. I thought that comment was very profound, because when you're in Washington, D.C., and you have the D.C. district that's not a Trump supporter, and now you have a Trump ally in that courtroom.
You think?
Picking a jury that's going to be fair and honest is not an easy task. Man. So it was a yeoman's task for the attorneys that did that, and I trust they did their best, but unfortunately the jury ruled against them.
But am I wrong as a layman, and you have a law enforcement background, you have a legal background, when I see, and I get suspect, and I hate myself for doing that. And when I was a kid, you never questioned the Department of Justice. You never questioned any of this. But I'm seeing what's coming out of the Southern District of New York. Right. Why is, and Tish James, the AG for New York State, who we love, she's a great gal. Now she's going after the president. But they leave. We were talking about Al Sharpton makes $1 million a year in a nonprofit, but they won't look at that.
Listen, I was listening to you guys on the way in the car on the radio, and I heard Frank talking about that. There's no question. That's one lucky individual, Reverend Sharpton. That man has gotten away with things that are just unspeakable. I mean, just that one incident with the Brawley incident years ago that was completely contrived. Yeah. And they put this prosecutor's life in jeopardy. He destroyed his career to a large extent. And then it was completely, it wasn't that it was exaggerated. It was completely false. How do you survive that type of situation? But yet he did, and he's even stronger. So there's no doubt that there's selective prosecution. It exists.
Selective prosecution.
There's no doubt. And prosecutors have that authority.
Yeah.
They could prosecute what they feel is appropriate and what is not. And that's a dilemma. Listen, institutions today, Joe, as far as no matter what the institution is, I don't have a good deal of faith. I have faith in individuals. I think there are people in any institution that have integrity. But the institutions themselves, I don't trust any of them.
Yeah.
That's why I'm justice. You come to me. The only justice you have is when I'm with you in the courtroom.
Go to the Pope.
I have no other loyalties other than the client.
Yeah, and I've seen it firsthand, Anthony. Nobody better than you, man. So if we can go to Anthony Pope, you can Google Anthony Pope, find his website right there. And what's the phone number again?
973-344-4406.
And Anthony, we need tort reform, you think? We need tort reform?
I think we need reform in a lot of things, Joe, that's for sure. But listen, we still are the best of an imperfect system.
But sometimes when you go in and you see a client, and now, like I'm saying, everything that's been happening, and we see how all the ancillary collateral damage of the Mueller probe, what they're trying to do in the Ukraine probe,
which was a bust. The Mueller probe was a complete bust. Yeah. You think they would learn from that, but they don't, and they don't even have any embarrassment over it. That's the crazy thing. There's no embarrassment over it.
Yeah,
absolutely none. It's like, okay, let's just move on to the next.
And they don't make any excuse. There's no caveat. Nothing.
Nothing. It's strange. Strange world we're living in.
It is. Anthony Pope, thank you. We love you.
You're welcome. Good to be here. Thank you, guys.
We love you, man. Anthony Pope right there, distinguished New Jersey attorney, AM 970 legal analyst, and former police officer from the great city of Newark, New Jersey. Thank you, Anthony. You going to court now? You off to court now?
No, I'm going to the office.
You're going? All right. All right. We'll see you over there.